Company B. He was a Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy of Company B.
Hey, how's it going? Welcome to another video upload from Aspie with Attitude. You're right now watching an autistic YouTube content creator channel when I mainly talk about autism and other things I like. Since for this video upload, I'm actually going to be falling back to one of my old interests that I grew up with as a teenage kid when I used to be into trains and I used to be into long mile railways. And later on I'll be showing you the trains. So before I get the video started, and if you're really into trains, you've probably already seen the intro how I'll be actually talking about the C38-Class steam locomotive. So this is a model of a 3801, which I'll be showing you a little bit later in this video. So just to get the video started, it was back on the 17th of August 2023. I had a bit of success with episode 302 when I did talk about the Victorian Railways S-Class steam locomotive. Pretty much it's been a very high received video at a time when I was actually filming this one. So I remember I had actually 621 views in total back on the 7th of May 2024 that I'm making this video. Yeah, pretty much I'll be leaving this thumbnail at the very end of this video if you want to listen to the Andrews Sisters again, which was the Boogie Woogie Bugle Man. A bit of a tongue twister here. So the reason why I picked this song is, I just thought this is all pretty much to do with the 301 when it first ended the service back in 1942 and 1943. What I wish not to do in this video is, I won't be telling you the rocket science. I'm just going to give you a brief history, and the history begins right now. The first of the C38-Class steam locomotives was planned for 1938. The delays was caused by material shortages, mainly all due to the Second World War. It was eventually the first C38-Class steam locomotive entered into service back in January 1943, unveiling its unique streamlining, which was built for express passenger service. Especially it had the 462 wheel arrangement, which is commonly known as the Pacific wheel arrangement, specially designed for all passenger services and some express goods services. When it first entered service, it was actually painted grey, which was like a military fatigue, since that the world was at war at the time. And since 3 of those C38-Class steam locomotives were built for the New South Wales Government Railways, only the first 5 of these steam locomotives was actually streamlined. It was the remaining 25 of the C38-Class steam locomotives was called standards due to the fact they were never streamlined. Instead, each had its common flat fronts, just like any other steam locomotives that were in service at the time. The last of the C38-Class steam locomotives had entered into service in November 1949, which has completed all the C38-Class steam locomotive fleets for the New South Wales Government Railways. The steam locomotives had remained in full-time service pretty much up till December 1970, and they were eventually replaced by diesels and electric trains such as the double-decker V-set trains. It was throughout its lifetime, pretty much throughout the 40s, the 1950s and 1960s, it was mostly seen to be working on the Newcastle Flyer, since it became very famous. And most of the times though, it did actually serve the southern lines like the Southern Highlands, which was actually really common, which was actually made to be the express passenger train of its times. And it was 5 out of the 30 steam C38-Class locomotives that had been preserved. Well, 2 of them are actually streamlined and the other 3 are the standard. Well, how it is though, like the 3820 is actually on a static display at the Filmia Railway Heritage Museum, pretty much south of Sydney in the Southern Highlands. And I think the 3813, like, it has been dismantled, never been put together. I think it's over at Dorrigo, pretty much in the north of New South Wales, where it remains. And the other one was a 3830. Like, it did actually have problems when it was still running as a heritage service, but these days no one doesn't know what's happening with this steam locomotive. So like, none of them are running at all. And there's actually two of the streamlined steam locomotives. Like, did you know that there are rumours that the 3803 did get preserved, which is hidden away on somebody's property, which people have been questioning about its whereabouts pretty much through social media platforms like Reddit. But how is though? The coolest news is the class leader, the 3801, the same locomotive that entered service back in January 1943, remains as a national treasure, especially for New South Wales Heritage Railway, the only one of its type that's still in full operation at the time of this video upload, which has actually been very special and really represents the history of New South Wales, especially it's been through a lot of excursions pretty much around the country. Like, it has visited every capital cities in Australia, since that it's only confined to the standard gauge, which means it's actually travelled from Sydney to Perth, actually like assisting the British Flying Scotsman across from Sydney to Perth, hopefully just trying to like break in the Guinness Book of Records to be the longest non-stop steam passenger service pretty much in the world, when they actually brought the Flying Scotsman over from England here in Australia. And like, it's even been to Alice Springs, and the only capital city that the C38-Class or 3801 has never visited is likely to be Darwin and Hobart. Since that, like, you'll never ever get a train over to Hobart at all. However, so like, it all remains in New South Wales today, and pretty much though, like, I have been wanting to show you how I used to be in the trains. So here we go. So like, you can just see this is a 3801, which has actually been preserved. And the most important thing is the green colour. And I'll put a tender down. Actually, what I like about it is, I look at the wheels there, and it kind of reminds me of kind of like Jules Verne. Like, it's not so much like an Art Deco design. I know the New York Central Railways actually did build locomotives like this, which was actually quite common even back in America in the late 1930s. So like, 5 of them were only built, and how cool is it that they got this real vibrant green colour. And there have been others that have been painted black. So like, I've got another streamline. So like, you can just see the colour differences. Because like, as I said before, they had painted this to plain grey colour during the days of World War II. It wasn't until 1947 that they started colouring the locomotives like that. And generally, this is how it looks like without a streamlining. Pretty much, it's got a flat face, as I've explained earlier, just like how you see most of the locomotives. Still got the same design, like, still got a real awesome wheel design. Like, I haven't ran these trains for quite a while, which happens to be one of my favourite all-time steam trains there, all the C38 classes. So there's just a lot of rich history involving the C38 class. like, I just want to see how this video really goes to see if I can get the same success as I did with the Victorian Railways S-Class steam locomotive. Considering that somewhere on the internet, I did actually find a photo of a C38-Class with a streamlining meeting the Victorian Railways S-Class streamlining, pretty much in Albury. As I said in the last video, how the S-Class steam locomotive only went as far as Albury, all due to the gauge differences that the Victorian Railways was only confined to the state of Victoria, since that the width of the track was 1.6 metres wide, and however it is though, in New South Wales it was actually 1.435 metres wide. So like pretty much it was an interchange at Albury, which was right on the New South Wales and Victorian border. By the early 1960s, they managed to extend the standard gauge from Albury into Melbourne, which was Spencer Street station at the time. And having this though, for the first passenger service to leave from Sydney to go all the way down to Melbourne was actually called Spirit of Progress, using the original dark blue carriages. And it turns out that it was actually two C38-Class steam locomotives from the New South Wales Government Railways, made all the way down to Melbourne, and which happened to be the two standard flat-face locomotives, which was the 3813 and the 3830. Considering that it was a real shame that they didn't use any of the streamlined steam locomotives, which I may assume it wasn't available at that time. It just wasn't thought of at the time. Considering that the first New South Wales steam locomotive to actually known to go all the way down to Melbourne was actually the C38-Class, due to the fact that it was actually made for express passenger services. We're just going to be very lucky that the 3801 has been preserved. So like, if you like what I do in this video, please why not subscribe to Aspie for Attitude. That's all I ever ask for in terms of support. And also, please don't forget to ring this notification bell if you want to keep up to date with Aspie for Attitude. Also, don't forget to like and share this video content around. That way, you're showing more support for this channel. And also, I'll let you know at the end, as a recap, like I definitely got the S-Class steam locomotive, which was episode 302. And another more successful one is when Melbourne did try to get a double-decker trains in like it did with Sydney, something that I've explained back in episode 223. And I remember uploading this on the 8th of March 2022 to mark out the 30th anniversary of Melbourne having a double-decker train built like the Sydney Tangara. So anyway, without any further ado, like there's already plenty of videos like this that do talk a lot about a C38-Class. Since I like to keep it brief and keep it short, and I like to say, I hope you enjoyed this video upload from Aspie for Attitude. Peace and respect, and see you next time.
Here's the Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy of Company B. A toot, a toot, a toot-a-toot, a toot, he rolls it into the bar. In boogie rhythm, you can't blow a note unless the bass and guitar is playing rhythm. He makes the company jump when he plays heavily. He's the Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy of Company B. He was the Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy of Company B. And when he played Boogie Woogie Bugle, he was busy as a blues bee. And when he plays, he makes the company jump into the bar. He's the Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy of Company B. He blows it into the bar.